Hello guys, welcome back, and today we're going to be talking about, once again, demons and shinobi. Anyway, let's begin, shall we? So, let us go back to where we basically left off the last episode. So, we currently see Izuku inside of the Fudumaki, roll restaurant, which is owned by Hanzo. As Izuku would just be there, you know, currently staring down everybody there, specifically Team Hanzo and his father. As, our boy Kirya would say this. So, son, he would say, as Izuku would just say, alright, just don't annoy me, I'm currently having lunch, he would say. As when Hanzo comes back, he would say, Kirya, and here's my lovely little granddaughter, he would say. As Izuku would say, wait, granddaughter, he would say, as you would look towards, Asuka, as she would say this. Yeah, haha, hi grandpa, she would say, as he would say this. As you look towards, Kirya, as he would say this. So, that's your son, he would say, as he would say this. Yes, and as Izuku would slam his, hands on the, table as he would say this. Alright, first of all, I didn't know that. And second of all, why did I even come here in the first place, he would say, as a voice would be heard from his phone as he would say this, specifically Orthros' voice, as he would say this. Because or at least Jack Frost, was the one who recommended this restaurant in the first place. As after saying that, one of them would say this, specifically Asuka would say, Eep, what was that? Who said it? She would say. As Izuku would say this. That was my first partner, he would say. As one of them would say this. Partner? Said a confused, Kagura, as she would say this. Mind telling me who this partner of yours is, she would say. As Izuku would say this. Why would I ask you, he would say. As she would say this. I'm only asking, nicely, and since that you're our sensei's son, well, as he would say this. Do you really think that I would actually be nice to you just because I'm your sensei's son? And by the way, I am no way going to be his son. After all, he basically abandoned me, he would say, as, he would say this, specifically Kirya. Son, I didn't mean it. I just didn't know. I was busy with, as he would say this. Oh, busy, yeah, sure, he would say. As Hanzo would say this. He's telling the truth, he would say. As Izuku would start looking towards Hanzo as he would say this. And why would you, as he would say this? I'm the one who brought him back into this life. This life of being a shinobi, he would say. As after hearing that, he would say this. So it was your fault, he would say. As he would say this. Yes, but it was a rash decision. And I'd never really known that your mother was going to die at that moment. I never even, as he would say this. It doesn't matter. It's already too late, he would say. As one of them specifically, the girl with the blonde hair would say this. Anyway, she would say this. I want to ask you, she would say, as Izuku would say this. What is it exactly, he would say. As she would say this. Well, are you single, she would say. As Izuku would just be blushing, as he would say, why would you, as he would just be, confused after hearing that. Wait for a second. As when Izuku heard that, he would say, why would you, as she would say this. What? If I see something that is, she would say. As she would look towards, looks Izuku up and down. As he would say this. I feel like I'm being violated, he would say. as one of them would say this, specifically Asuka, as she would say this. Yeah, I get what you mean, she would say, as Kirya would say this once again. But either way, I wanted to ask you this, Izuku. What were those things? He would say, as you would say this. Like I would actually tell you, old man, he would say, as he would say this. Izuku, I'm only telling you this is because I want to protect you, and I even want you to join Hanzo Academy, he would say. As Izuku would say this. Really? No thank you. I prefer to stay in my lane, being that of a demon liberator, he would say. As one of them would say this. As she would say this. Specifically the girl with pigtails. What the heck is a demon liberator, she would say. Is it... That does sound a bit evil, she would say. As Izuku would say this. Yeah, I get that a lot. But in actuality, most demons are actually pretty peaceful. Or at least some species. And I'm not being racist here, but, you basically get it, you would say. As he would say, anyway. No, we basically protect the human world and the demon world. We basically keep the balance, you would say. As one of them would say this. Said the pink-haired girl would say, oh, so you're like those, superheroes, right? She would say. As he would say this. Superheroes? What exactly do you... But before I can actually answer that, a demon would come out. Specifically our boy Orthros, as he would say this. Actually, I do like that idea, he would say, as everybody would be surprised, including Team Hanzo, Hanzo himself, and also Kirya, as Kirya would say this. Who are you? He would say, as he would get ready their weapons, specifically all of Team Hanzo, as he would say this. Hold on. Orthros, can you please do not, as he would say this. What? I wanted to clarify things, he would say. Both of their heads would say it, as they would say this. So, this is Orthros, said Kirya, as he would say this. Yeah, my first ever demon partner, as he would say this. And loyal to a fault, he would say. As he would look towards Kirya, as he would say this. So, you must be his father. The name's Beast Orthros, of the Beast race, he would say. As he would say this. Hello there. The name's Kirya Midoriya. As after saying that, he would say this. Nice to finally meet you. And as for the rest of you, as you bow down, I am one of Izuku's partners. No, multiple. He has multiple different demons that serve under him. After all, he did save the world, he would say. As Izuku would say this. You don't really mean to say that, he would say. As one of them would say this. Specifically, the girl by the name of Kagura would say this. Save the world? How? And as Orthros would say this. That's a story for another day. As Izuku would say this. Like hell, he would say. As one of them would say this. Specifically, Kirya, as he would say this once again. So, son, I wanted to, as he would say this. If you're going to ask me to basically become a ninja or shinobi or whatever, there's no way I'm doing that. And hell if I'm going to do that. After what you did, after you basically abandoned me and mother, I basically never want to see you again. And especially, I am no way going to... But before he can actually answer that, he would get a call. As he would say this. What? Wait for, As he would look towards his phone, as he would get a call. Specifically, from his grandfather? As he would say this. Seems like Grandpa's basically calling me. As one of them would say this. So he's Kirya Sensei's grandpa, or as you would say this. No, he's from my mother's side, he would say. As after saying that, he would basically grab his phone and would start would answer him, specifically his grandfather. So, we would go back to Izuku as Izuku's currently, talking to his grandfather. Somewhere private to be more specific. As we would go to the POV of the rest of Team Hanzo and Kirya, as they would say this. So, he saved the world? Said, Ikagura, as one of them specifically, Katsuragi would say this. So, the hottie saved the world. That actually pretty sounds cool, she would say. As one of them specifically, Asuka would say, yeah, that is impressive. As one of them specifically, Hibari, aka the pink-haired girl, would say this. Yeah, he sounds like a hero. Like Kiryu-sensei, she would say. As after saying that, he would say this. I never known my son to be that powerful, he would say. As, Hanzo would say this. You're quite proud, eh, he would say. As he would say this. Yeah. Even though I never really known him for so long. In fact, I nearly forgotten him. I'm still surprised that he grew up to be such a fine man, he would say. As one of them specifically, um, as the pigtailed girl would say this. That boy, he seems interesting, she would say. As one of them would say this, specifically, Ikagura. Ooh, I didn't know Ikagura, Yagu started to, fell in love with somebody, she would say. As she would say this. It's not like that. I just felt weirdly familiar with him, she would say. As after saying that, we would go back to Izuku. So, after Izuku stopped talking, stopped talking with his grandfather, he would say this. God damn it, he would say. As one of them would say this. So, what happened, Izuku? She would say. As he would say this. You don't have the right to call me that. Just call me Midoriya, he would say. As she would say this. Fine, said, Asuka, who was the one who actually talking to him. As Izuku would say this. Anyway, it seems that my grandfather decided for me to, and I quote, work with you, Shinobi. God damn it, he would say. As one of them would say this. So we're finally gonna be teammates? Said, a somewhat excited, Katsuragi. As he would say this. No, I am not gonna be working with you. In fact, I'm just gonna be working by myself. As after saying that, he would say this. Oh, and by the way, leave me the hell alone, he would say. As after saying that, he would leave the restaurant, but also, leaving in, his, the exact amount of, of money he paid for, for the food. And so, after he left, one of them would say this. Well, I guess that works, said, Asuka, as his father would say this, aka, Kirya. Izuku, he would say. As one of them would say this. Hey, Sensei, trust me, he'll probably get get along with us someday, or at least for, at least a while. Maybe we can be friends, she would say, said, Asuka. As, Ikagura would say this. Well, for now, he seems to be hostile towards us. So let's just leave him alone for now, she would say. And so, we would go back to Izuku as he's currently walking home. Or at least, to the dorms. As while he was walking, Izuku would say this to himself. The heck? Why do I feel like I'm being followed, he would say. As after a while of walking, he would hear footsteps from behind him. Specifically, ones that seemed to be, falling from the sky. or at least from a high place, as Izuku would look behind him and would see her. And so, this is where we're gonna be ending off this episode. So yeah, bye bye!